this morning? Good? Yes. Yes, we're doing good. We've been talking about spiritual insight or spiritual eyes 2020, right? All month long, seeing things with a different set of eyes or spiritual eyes. Woo, that was different. My voice changed. Finally reached that age. No, just kidding. The other thing I reached was the age where I can't read my papers anymore, so I need to get my eyes checked. These spiritual eyes, right? Yes, and it's also National Women's Month, so, we've been hearing that. That's a wonderful thing, and we're still journeying through Lent. We've been busy. Yes, busy. All right. Well, one of the most incredible women of our movement, Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said, "We must let go of the thoughts that bind us. We must let go of the thoughts that bind us so Christ's life may flow through us." We must let go of the thoughts that bind us so Christ's life may flow through us. And the talk title this morning is Awakening Spiritual Perception. Not about seeing with physical eyes and thoughts, but about clearing the fog of the old stories, our old identities, or our old frameworks. They get in the way because they bind us. You with me? When I was coming home from college and I was looking for my first job, I had to buy a car. So I bought this orange Chevrolet Chevette. Now, if you're young and you're going, what's a Chevrolet Chevette? I asked AI. And AI said, only the basic cars today have more than the Chevrolet Chevette did. Gives you any idea what a Chevrolet Chevette is. And it was orange and faded. And the best part was, it had rusted out floorboards. So you could lift the carpet and watch the road go by. But I was that car. I thought at that time that I was, to be honest with you, never going beyond this car. I was bound by this belief that this is what I deserved, was the rusted out Chevrolet Chevette. We must let go of the thoughts that bind us. Why? So Christ can flow freely through us. I had to let go of those thoughts. I had to be awakened to spiritual perception. And it took time, right? It took time. So how many of you are in church this morning to do spiritual work? Yeah, I better see everybody's hands going up right now. To be spiritually working on something that is going to take you further on your journey. Yes, man. I see a little hand go up over there. Yes. We don't sit and get in this church, do we? We don't get to. No. We're unity. We have to clear the fog. We have to work. Because this is the time of deep spiritual work. Do you agree? Yeah. So Saturday, there's going to be a women's retreat. And we are going to look at 9 women of the Bible. But we're going to do this through a process called maieutic interpretation. Maieutic. It's a Greek word meaning midwife, to birth. Right? We're going to birth spirituality. That sounds bad, but it's an interpretation process. It gives us a tool to look at the world around us in spiritual eyes. It awakens our spiritual perception, right? It's a process that draws out the awakening within you, and it draws upon your inner wisdom. Your inner wisdom that's already there. We're just going to draw it out. And in the maieutic process, you ask yourself 3 questions. What is happening in the story? How does this story show up in the world today? And how does this story show up in my life? 3 questions. So I'm going to talk about the story of Hagar, not one of the 9 we're talking about on Saturday, so I'm not giving anything away. Hagar. So Hagar, what was happening in the story is that Hagar, if you don't know, was given to Abraham and Sarah because Sarah was barren. And so Hagar was given as a surrogate. And she was going to have a child for him. So she was there to conceive and be enslaved. Well, she does conceive. But then what happens is the tensions rise and Sarah gets jealous. And so she casts her out into the wilderness because Sarah ultimately becomes pregnant as well. And she goes out into the wilderness alone when an angel comes to her and says, Hagar, why are you crying? I acknowledge your suffering. God sees you. I have a promise for you that your son will go on to do great things. And Hagar's response is, El Roi. She named God, and she says, El Roi, which means the God that sees me. I have now seen the God who has seen me. She goes back to Abraham and Sarah, only to be cast out again when her son is born. She is in the desert with nothing to drink or eat, so she puts him off to the side under a bush. She could not watch him die, so she moves off to the side. When hears God's voice again. He says, Hagar, don't be afraid. Open your eyes. When she opens her eyes, she sees a spring of water in front of her. That's the story. All right? You are the God who sees me. When I was driving back and forth from Orlando to Satellite Beach and back and forth in this $100 Chevrolet Chevette, I was hoping God saw me somewhere along there. Or somebody else did if I broke down sideways on the side of the road, right? But there would be times in the car where I'd be like, God, is there more? Is there more? The God who sees me. So how does this story show up in the world? How does it show up in the world? If we take just the story. Well, as we take the story, we begin to move it into our heart space. It's a spiritual process that comes down into us, right? Into our inner knowledge and wisdom. And we look around and we can see maybe people whose labor is used, but their humanity is ignored. Maybe it's single mothers and fathers that are navigating a system that's failed them. Maybe it's those whose identities are defined by other people. You see? How do I take that and move it in? Maybe it's youth who feel unseen in their homes or in their schools. Now, how does Hagar show up in me? How does Hagar show up to me? Times maybe I've felt unseen or unheard. Maybe there were times that something was born out of my struggles, like the car. Maybe I found myself in the wilderness spiritually, emotionally, right? The Maieutic process is much bigger than just interpreting the Bible. It gives us a spiritual tool to navigate the world, to awaken the spiritual perception that's within us already, but gives us a practice so that we know God sees us. Are you with me? Yeah. It's drawing of your inner wisdom that's already there. It's already there. And it can be used in any situation. It can be applied to any story. It can be applied to any personal experience or anything social or culturally that's happening. When we came into unity, we were open to practices that allows our spiritual growth. Do you want to grow spiritually? Do you want to grow? Yes. Metaphysics is the ability to see what's happening in the world, draw it in, understand it within ourselves, and then push it back out again. Right? That's metaphysics. So what's happening in the story that we may see culturally right now? Take a deep breath. And release. Yeah. Right now we may see violence, retaliation, displacement, economic instability, global tension. What do we do with that? This is the outer sight in which we see. But we have to process it every day, right? It's the outer. This is not ignoring pain or suffering that's happening, but it's how we start to practice using a spiritual tool that allows us the opportunity to learn, grow, and then glow, right? That inner Christ happening. It's much deeper than what we see. So we take that story that we see, and we say, how does that show up in the world around me as I bring it into my heart space? What I am seeing, and how it shows up. What is the story revealing about the collective consciousness? That maybe there's instability with humanity among others, right? Economies and communities are strained. And like Hagar, millions are crying out, uncertain, right? This is not about taking sides. It's about taking responsibility for the consciousness of the world around me. Taking responsibility for the consciousness of the world around me. Our circle of influence. Okay, let's take it down again. How do I see that story in me? How do I see what's happening in me? Inner vision, spiritual perception, awakening. Where am I experiencing inner conflict? Right now, where am I experiencing inner conflict? Where am I reacting instead of responding? Where am I feeling displaced? Where are my resources being drained? Maybe my energy is being drained. My compassion is being drained. My hope is being drained. You see how that works? See, this is the stage of spiritual honesty. Did anybody tell you it was going to be easy? No. No, you didn't come here to sit and get. You came here to work. But it doesn't have to be work, right? We awaken our spiritual perception. The maieutic process is not about the story itself. It's about awakening our perception. It's what you came here to do. It's why you're in unity. It's the release of the thoughts that bind you and brings you into the heart space. Because when we move through these stages, what is happening in the story, the outer sight? What is happening and how does it show up in the world around me? The beginning of the inner. And how is this in my life? The inner. We now know and see at a bigger picture. Now, what do you do with it? Y'all act like it's sitting in your lap right now. Yes, you feel it? But what do we do with it? That's the great part. We see with El Roy eyes. We see the God within each other. Unity's fifth principle says that through our thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth and we affirm. We live the truth. We take this information, we process it, we let it go. I release and let it go, right? I release and I let go. But we do the work. Jesus said, seek, knock, find. Right? We have found it. So what do I do with it? So this week, when you see someone that feels invisible, what do? You acknowledge them. You make eye contact. Make eye contact. You say hello. You offer a presence. You stand next to them. When we hear a cry that is not spoken out loud, the person that's not saying it out loud, right? You respond with compassion and you listen. You know, my sister had back surgery and family dynamics. We hadn't really spoken for a little bit. And then she texted me before she went in. I had no idea she was having this back surgery. She texted me. And she told me, I'm going to have back surgery and what she was having done. And she said, I love you. And I was like, whoa. I hear you. So we called. We talked. We prayed with her before she went into surgery. See, she didn't ask me for the prayer, but she did. You know? We listen. We hear the cry that's not spoken. We notice when the worldliness is in our own lives. Where are you thirsty for clarity and guidance? Where are you hungering to take the next step forward in your spiritual journey? Right? And then we name God from lived experience. We name God. As you go through the week, remember, I have now seen the God who strengthens me. Can you say that together? I have now seen the God who strengthens me. I have seen the God who surprises me. Together, I have seen the God who surprises me. Yes. I have seen the God who carries me. I have seen the God who carries me. Yes, and all of this, we have seen it. We have the tools to get us through, right? So of course, ultimately, we're growing spiritually. We're growing. And I moved beyond the orange Chevette. I did. Yoo-hoo! That's a good thing. There were many cars along the way. And just like with a spiritual journey, there are many new insights along the way. Right? That's the beauty of it. As someone who is seeking Christ consciousness, which is all of you, right? And practicing unity principles, which is all of you, in your life, we hold truth, capital T, truth beyond appearances. We hold truth. We radiate peace. And we demonstrate spiritual laws in our life. Where in our community is someone standing by a spring in the wilderness, waiting to be seen? Right? I see you. I see the God in you. As I see the God in me. This is your community. This is the love and the compassion and the support, the people sitting right next to you right now. This is an opportunity to take something that seems so big and to bring it down. From an outer vision to an inner vision, to a spiritual awakening. Right? This is our time to love, to radiate peace, to give to others, to affirm our oneness. This is our time. Reach out to the person, knowing that God is in you, sees you, just as you see in others. You with me? Amen. Let's prepare for meditation. So take a deep breath. and release. Take another deep breath and release. Letting go of any stressors before you came here to church, anything that might have just come up for you. If you're new to meditation or new to unity, just close your eyes. This is the time that we pause and reflect. We reflect on our role, on our spirituality, and on our opportunities. Take another deep breath and release. Relaxing the shoulders, the arms, the legs. We're going to take just a moment and breathe. Take another deep breath and release. And just bring those thoughts into the heart space, where we make a connection to the divine, God the good, El Roy, the God who sees you, sees everything you're doing, the work, the compassion, the hope, the love. And as we go deeper into our Christ consciousness, we envision the world from the perspective of space. As we awaken our spiritual sight, we see it surrounded with a beautiful yellow glow. We surround the earth with love. Peace and harmony. We see the story. We see this story on a global level, in our family, friends, and community. And we see the story in ourselves. This is the deep work, the opportunity. As we connect with the divine presence, God the good omnipotent, knowing that all is possible when we remain open with spiritual eyes. And so as we take a moment in the silence, we just pause. Take a deep breath. And as you come back from this deep space, this beautiful connection with the divine, you come back with the knowledge of God strengthens you. Faith strengthens you. Prayer strengthens you. God sees you, is in you, and flows freely through you. We are not bound by our thoughts. We are free. And so as you become aware of this space and place, the people in the room sitting next to you, we affirm community, oneness, and wholeness. We are in this together. And in our collective consciousness, we can change the world. And so it is. Amen.